Hello, everybody. How are you tonight? Sorry, this is one of those like on the fly things where I had a really great idea to finally do this because I had the energy at the grocery store, and so it's here. So I think one of the other mothers who I've been working with, who has a lot of information from different schools that I don't particularly get information on. I'm waiting for her, and she is scarfing down some food, and hopefully Charlotte will be jumping on. But I met her through TikTok of all places, and searching for one of the assaults I knew had happened. I couldn't find any information on, you know, algorithms, is that it had popped up, this mom on TikTok. And when I found what she was exposing on TikTok, blew my mind away, because could it get any worse? Yeah, it can. Like, and that's what people have to understand, is just because this show happens to be about Chesterfield, it's not just Chesterfield. This is statewide, it's nationwide. And there's a wonderful Utah professor. His name is Amos Guerra. And the reason that this is titled Armies of Enablers is because after doing a lot of bystander research, because his parents were survivors of the Holocaust and the bystander effect, he then went on to write a book called Armies of Enablers. Now, this was strictly regarding like Penn State and the U.S. gymnastics team, because even for the people that dig into this stuff, to actually dig into public education is, because it's not talked about, it doesn't mean it's not there. It's because to bring it to light is what the school divisions are having problems understanding. They're protecting the institution. And this is what everybody does in a child abuse case, is like, so it like when families close ranks to protect the institution, the family over the child is a perfect example. That was my life. You're giving that child their worth, okay? And that's what's going on here, but it's not just in Chesterfield. It's across the state, when neither party will carry legislation to close the loopholes. They talk about it. They like to say, oh, I wrote this little teeny tiny bit. That's what's going on, is that school divisions would rather protect the institution of government education than your child. And it doesn't matter, is that there are trans children that have been assaulted by teachers. There are Black children, there are special education children, there are white children. It is across the spectrum. And this is one of those unifying issues where get over yourself. Because this is, I would say, the number one issue. And we just happen to be lucky because Dr. Carol Shakeshaft, this was part of No Child Left Behind. She had to do a intense study in 2004, was part of No Child Left Behind. And she's now at VCU from Hofstra, which is where she did most of her research. The really big problem when you enter the state of Virginia is that things that you used to care about now become quiet, because she's received millions of dollars from the CDC since she went to VCU to research this more, except where's Virginia? So while I'm hopefully waiting for Charlotte, I'm going to show you the clip. You may have seen the one from the previous school board meeting. But I wanted to, would be the vice president of the Chesterfield Education Association, which is a big thing people have to understand when you're talking about collective bargaining, is you can research it, is that these contracts a lot of the time come with clauses that protect teachers in cases of any kind of assault charge, not just sexual assault, but it is that it's nationwide, is that's what these AFT, NEA union contracts come with. And so if you're in a division fighting collective bargaining for teachers, I've told everybody, you need to do the work and look across the nation, and it's your main arguing point amongst anything. But I'm just going to real quick. So I went to this school board meeting, just went, only parent, because, Bobby couldn't come. He was running late, but it's usually just the two of us. And this teacher happened to go before me. Now, he is the Chesterfield Education Association vice president. He did not announce that, I don't think, but he's in Midlothian High School, and he was right ahead of me. And that day, a teacher, it had come out in the news that a child at Spring Run Elementary had been assaulted by a teacher. So with what he had to say, I'm sure you can imagine my response.
High School and the proud Vice President of Chesterfield Education Association. I'm here tonight to address concerns about threats of violence directed towards CCPS educators. CCPS employees have, over the last 1.5 years, expressed to me fears, concerns, and anger about threats of violence that they have received from students. Sometimes these threats are couched in vague, if still menacing fashion, such as, "We know what kind of car you drive," or they are much more direct. Last winter, the organizing committee of CEA asked members about safety issues. Out of the 102 respondents, 54 said that they had seen or heard student threats, explicit or implicit, made against faculty or staff. Teachers have reported that they feel helpless, that they are in no position of authority or can't go anywhere for help when threats of violence by students are made to them. When teachers feel scared and or are demoralized, a few things might happen. They might look for other work. They might begin, just leaving the classroom, or such feelings might make them less effective educators if they feel unsafe or unsupported. If any or all of these things happen, the classroom environment and student learning suffers. Over the past few board meetings, I've heard board members express pride in the quality of CCPS education, and rightly so. We saw examples and evidence of great education earlier this evening. As a CCPS teacher at Midlow High, I'm extremely proud of my IB and dual enrollment literature courses. But to continue to be proud of the education that we offer, we need staff, all staff, to feel safe and supported. First, for their safety and peace of mind. And secondly, supporting them makes the classroom and the school a better place to learn. Threats of violence are illegal and have no place on school property or anywhere else. Such threats, uttered by students, parents, employees, should be dealt with immediately so that all can feel safe, so that all students can learn, and so that CCPS.
So I'm just going to cut him off right there, because I'm sure that you can imagine me standing off in the wings waiting. I'm like frothing at the mouth. How dare you? And what he did there was like a classic ACLU like tactic. It's what could happen if you don't stop this is, teach. I'm surprised he didn't say, insinuate that legal, that's what the classic "we're going to sue you" technique is you feel unsafe. You do? You're an adult, first and foremost. I couldn't even get into with these people. That's a different show again, for why these children are acting like this. Problem, solution, problem, solution. You created this. Discipline's racist, right? The same people that say discipline is racist are now complaining that children who haven't been disciplined in school for 10 or 15 years are acting feral. Wait, which one is it? And so then, let me pull up. This is also my first time in front of the three new. Well, Dominique doesn't matter because, or she doesn't not matter, but she doesn't count because she's not new. She spent 2.5 years with me, but on the other side of the dais. So here I go. Welcome to school board members. My name is Ann Tatus. It's interesting to hear a teacher bring up the safety of teachers when, again, today there was another teacher arrested at Spring Run Elementary School for assaulting a student. How many is that? Have you counted? Let's see. 2024 Manchester High School teacher assaulted a student. 1223 Thomas Dale, a teacher assaulted a student. this doesn't even get into the sexual assaults if we go through the Virginia Department of Education's own statistics. You've got this only goes back to 2007, but you've got conduct with direct and detrimental effect on students, improper communication of sexual nature with minor students, that's Chesterfield County, felony indecent liberties based on alleged, well, they lost their license, it's not alleged, sexual conduct with a student. Let's see, that's 2006 and 2020. You got criminal convictions, 2 counts, crimes against nature, and 2 counts of indecent liberties with a child. That's 2017, still on Chesterfield County. Misdemeanor contributing to the delinquency of minor based on an alleged sexual conduct with a student. How is that a misdemeanor? Has anybody ever thought about that? You can't have sex with children. It's called rape, especially when you stand in loco parentis. Even if you're 18, you cannot consent to sex with a teacher. Criminal conviction, felony indecent liberties, inappropriate conduct with a student. That would be 2019. Felony possession of child pornography, 2018. Felony possession of child pornography, 2006. 7 counts misdemeanor contributing to delinquency of minor based on alleged sexual relationship with a minor student age 13, 2014. Inappropriate relationship with a student, conduct with direct and detrimental effect on the health of a minor, 2022. 2 counts misdemeanor sexual battery and object sexual penetration based on the sex abuse of a 16-year-old, 2007. 2 counts misdemeanor sexual battery and object penetration of a minor, 2002. Inappropriate relationship with a student via sexting, 2022. 7 counts misdemeanor contributing to delinquency of a minor based on its sex with another child, 13 years old, 2014. This is literally why you want to whine? Talk about unhealthy children being abused. This doesn't even include the special education, the Chester Learning Academy fiasco last year, the special education, the most vulnerable children being abused by teachers, educators. So don't come up here and whine to me about how you perceive what you heard was screenshot. They're literally raping and beating our children. It is on the Virginia data sets. Not only that, but you can go back Ed Week, 2004. Sexual abuse in educators is scrutinized. 2007, sexual misconduct plagues U.S. schools, 2007. Ed Week, sexual abuse, a shadow over U.S. schools, October 24th, 2007. A government accountability report, K-12 education, select cases of public and private schools that hired or retained individuals with histories of sexual misconduct. There's one also from 2014 from the Government Accountability Office. 2016, broken discipline tracking system lets teachers flee troubled paths. That's USA Today. A Department of Justice report from 2017. Lessons learned from Title IX policy implementation. Dr. Carol Shakeshaft, who has led this, has now left Hofstra, and she is at VCU. And that leads me to Title IX and the previous school board completely eliminated the student complaint form for Title IX. Why would you do that with our children being abused by teachers? Why would you do that? The two of you that are still
Thank
here.
you, Miss.
So this brings up the important part of that form that I held up at the end. Ann Coker and Dot Heffron are still on the school board. Merv Doherty, for now, is still our superintendent. Wendell Roberts is still our school board attorney. And Sean Smith, whoever in the world pays attention, is the man that writes the policy that the VSBA tells him to do, is the first person that anybody should fire and demand firing, because that man has been writing abhorrent policy. But so if you pull up the Title IX, guys, if you didn't know, is not even mainly about sports. It's literally the only legal mechanism that you have to protect your children from sexual harassment, rape, assault from anybody in the public school system. And Chesterfield County deleted the student complaint form from its policy. And so you do start to get extremely angry when you pay attention to these things and you start to see it continuing to happen over and over and over and over. And it's not just the sexual assault, to throw this in for those of you that did not see this, is that, yes, I can even, I can even overcome because I don't have a political side. This was in the Senate I actually spoke for Hashmi. Tara Durant wanted to write a bill to which Christian daycares would no longer have licensing. Well, I do agree. You can't pick all of a sudden this one area that you want limited government on. Okay. You just can't do it. So I had gone to this was in the education committee. So speaking was no longer allowed. And I just happened to have my phone when Hashmi was like, no, we're going to hear this bill again. By the way, VEA Shane Riddle wrote me after I spoke, and he said, we have already spoken against this. So he confirmed that Hashmi they had already heard it. So double-edged sword. Hashmi, I do what I want. But then again, Tara, crazy bill. Didn't know that. So I'm still going to speak against this. This is just daycare.
And child protection specialist. And Virginia Beach daycare under investigation after child found outside unattended that was Bayside Christian Children's Learning Center found a toddler alone outside on the playground May 10th, 2023. Virginia preschool teacher faces child cruelty assault charges June 13th, 2023. Former Virginia Beach child care provider convicted of infant's death child while in her custody, November 2nd, 2023. James City County woman accused of running unlicensed daycare where infant died, April 24th, 2023. March 2023, Blackwell Preschool, Richmond, sexual assaults in bathrooms. October 25th, 2023, King George County, 8 months after infant died in King George County daycare preschool. August 17th, 2023, Arlington Daycare failed to report alleged child abuse inspection fines. April 8th, 2023, Oxon Hill Daycare employee arrested after disturbing videos showed alleged child abuse. April 3rd, 2023, Chesterfield preschool teacher slapped, spanked, grabbed student's neck. She was allowed back in class. March 14th, 2023, Williamsburg daycare employee accused of hitting child has been arrested. September 22nd, 2023, Radford daycare teacher arrested for child abuse. Why are we relieving any?
Oh, and you know that effing T turned off my mic because she wanted the bill killed. That doesn't mean she wanted the entire truth told. Sorry, Gazala. I just happened to be there. And so is that now you have all that on record. And so I'm going to jump real quick. Well, not jump, but I want to bring, there's several things, is how I got into this entire thing was, if you remember last year, there was if you remember the Chesterfield Early Learning Academy, which I brought up. And let's see.
She wanted to get on the bus way less than normal. She would have night terrors.
A father whose 3-year-old daughter was allegedly assaulted by her teacher at Chester Early Childhood Learning Academy says the emotional scars from that still linger.
She's terrified of school, of new school. And it's because of this.
Her teacher was Lisa Harbalis, who was charged with 12 counts of assault and battery for reportedly abusing 5 preschool students back in July and November of last year. On Tuesday, Harbalis had her day in court, where her defense attorney and prosecutors reached a deal. It was a shock to some victims' parents.
It was unexpected. I showed up today with the intentions of testifying and going through the process.
The Commonwealth described reports from a witness of Harbalis grabbing kids' hair and necks, spanking them, slapping their face, and tucking their arms on multiple occasions. But the defense denied all allegations and discredited the witness for not being trained and for being new to the classroom. They argued that any touching of children was to protect them from harm. Still, a judge accepted the terms of the agreement, which meant that Harbalis was found guilty on 5 counts of contributing to the delinquency of a minor, and she is to no longer teach and must surrender her license.
I'm not angry with the outcome. I just wish that there was more.
This father tells me his biggest concern of the whole case is how the allegations were handled by the school.
The school notified me that there was an incident and that nothing came from it, and that they couldn't provide me with any of the information or any of the documentation about the matter.
Court documents revealed that after his daughter was allegedly assaulted in July, the school issued Harbalis a reprimand. A referral was made to Child Protective Services.
Okay. A reprimand? The school reprimanded her and sent her back into the classroom.
But CPS never notified law enforcement about it, police said.
I was emotional.
This parent believes had the July incident been taken more seriously, the additional alleged assaults in November could have been prevented.
Okay, that's not a I believe. That is factual. And that's what's happening is that it's like everybody got so angry, rightly so, with Loudoun County. We have a governor elected on. That was child on child covered up that led to another child. We're talking about adult on child covered up leading to multiple. This is what's happening. Okay. So take Loudoun County and multiply it by about 1 million. Adult on child, whether it's physical assault, sexual assault, doesn't matter. Adult on child. Where's the outrage? Right. It's not so pretty when it involves teacher on child, and it is rampant across the state, the county, and the nation.
My perspective, specifically my perspective, total failure. Absolute, just totally swept under the rug.
Now, up until now, Chesterfield County Schools has not answered any questions surrounding their.
This is what they do. They don't answer questions. They do not. They are above. They cover it up, and that is just, it's common practice. I was on TikTok and I was sharing, and I mentioned J.G. Henning, and there was a parent who said, Henning Elementary, and I guess she had kids there. She said, why in the world are we not notified? You should be. You should be notified when, rapes, overdoses, assaults happen inside your school, right? You shouldn't have to find out through the news. But the reason Chesterfield is coming into the light more often, it's not because it's happening more now. It's simply because, let me find the memo. Okay, here it is. So in my digging around, I happened to find the memo, which of course, there it is. This would be after the Lisa Harbalis Chesterfield Early Learning Academy, to Casey Filion, Family Services Supervisor, Kelly Mahoney, Family Services Program Manager, from Danica Briggs, Assistant Director for Family Services. Review of CPS intake practices. Following media scrutiny, by the way, this wasn't just because they wanted to be good people. They wanted, following media scrutiny and an inquiry from the Virginia Department of Social Services, a review of Child Protective Services referrals alleging abuse, neglect by a teacher was conducted. So they concluded that there will be no time frame used to determine validity. Bingo. So that tells you what's been happening is there used to be a time frame. So Delegate Mike Cherry, who I had a meeting with 2 weeks ago, telling me about the time frame issue, is that we need it. If you're going to tell me about this stuff, I need it in a more timely manner. No, sir. If the person is an employee, particularly of a school, daycare, or facility, they can continue to pose a threat to that teacher or other children, regardless of how much time has elapsed. Delegate Cherry, are you hearing me? Because I wrote you the other day when the J.G. Henning happened, and I said, Pastor Cherry, is this enough? Is 5 in 4 months enough for you to do something? We will take secondhand information. Pay attention. If you hear about this as a parent, as a paying taxpayer, they will take secondhand information. The report is usually coming from a school facility administrator based on their reporting protocols. If they mention reference of a written statement, that should be requested at intake. There does not have to be an actual injury to validate. Code says it is the threat of injury. And so here's the thing right here, is that they have this little thing, is the alleged abuser a public school employee? Here's the thing. That's the thing. They tell you, well, the former teacher was not on the premises when they raped or when they whatever the child. Doesn't matter. Is the alleged abuser a public school employee is question number 1. And then it has one of those yes, no. No, does not apply. So yes, was the action of the employee in the course of his education employment? So what does that mean inside the building? No, it means was he employed at the time, whether it was in his house while he was at their house, whether they were at the mall, in his car, doesn't matter, employed with the county, with his child, not just of the county, alleged abuser of any kind, employed with the county. Did the employee use incidental, minor, or reasonable physical? Okay, no. And then it goes into reasonable, necessary force to prevent student from self-harm. Use reasonable, necessary force to defend self or others. Use reasonable force and necessary force to obtain weapon, dangerous object, or controlled substance or paraphernalia upon the person. What? Anyway. Did the employee use reasonable force to obtain a weapon or a dangerous object? Okay, now. Okay, so there you go. Screen out or unfound. Who is determining what's reasonable then is the question. And if no, if the actions were within the scope of the employment and taken in good faith in the course of supervision, course, or discipline of the students, does the preponderance of evidence show the employee's acts or omissions constitute gross negligence or willful misconduct? Founded, unfounded. So that's why it's coming to light more often. And then it goes on to say, a whole bunch of other, if you guys want to know, VDSS, Navigating Child Welfare. And then it's got a whole bunch of resources. If you guys want them, just let me know. So what I met with Delegate Cherry about was the ones that we don't see, which is what passing the trash is. They're extremely important. Let's see. Is this the one I want to bring up? Yes. And so this is one that I got, and this, let me see if I can download it and then open it. So you guys can see it. So this is one I got last year from Salem Church. And before I even got the memo, I had been made aware of this by the teacher and a parent, is that Mr. Lewis, so you get a memo. As you're probably aware, your child social studies teacher, Mr. Lewis, has been out of school due to personnel matters. Students have been working on material, blah, 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 blah. We've secured a long-term, so they send you this BS memo. Your teacher is no longer whatever. And so if you get one of these, you need to ask more questions. Because the truth of the matter was that the teacher, now this was a liberal teacher. I know that shouldn't matter, but unfortunately it does. Contacted me along with, and a conservative parent and a liberal teacher had to team up to go after Salem Church Middle to get them to now get this was, he was not fired. This is passing the trash. This division allowed him to quit with a letter of recommendation. So he was sexually harassing the teacher. He had, I believe they said, inappropriate dealings with children. And I'm not going to show you the conversations that I had with both the teacher and everybody else in Chesterfield County regarding this. I will tell you, and I'm not going to dox him bad enough, but his name is Mr. Lewis, is that he is now at history instructor at Cristo Rey Richmond High School. See right there, 7th grade social studies teacher. History instructor, Cristo Rey. This is called passing the trash. And he did work at Powhatan. Oh, and then staffer before that in Henrico, Mr. Lewis. And so this is what happens when a division allows somebody that they know, and for them to like, they had enough evidence that they were like, okay, we're just gonna let him quit. and we're not going to actually, hold him accountable. And then we're going to pass him to another division. And as I've said in previous shows, when these people are finally caught, they've worked in 3 divisions is the average with 73 victims. 73. And so what caught my eye was another story like this. Maybe I'll hold off on that one. Let's see. Okay, another one, and I don't care if I out her or not, because so I was notified of this August 3rd, 2022, is that there was a teacher at Carver. Her name was Alex Davis. They were in date, so she was allowed to, they had put her back on the roster. This had happened this spring of the previous school year. And she had flipped desks. Let's see, before I go through my photos, if I can find the correct image. Okay. She was written off. All of us at IASE had to give statements. She threw all of her special needs kids out of her room, told them to get the F out, and then I later found out that she called them the R word, started throwing things, toppled the filing cabinets, broke school equipment. So they put her back on the roster. And when these teachers went forward, and I can show... maybe I didn't send the emails, but I had a lot of back and forth with Chesterfield County regarding this. The teachers that came forward for this, and by the way, Alex Davis is now at Verona High School, so that's how that works. Boop, 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 boop. I even have the screenshots of her, and so when you pull up personnel records, which if your division does not do this at every school board meeting, it's part of open government, is that when you pull up those, you see that she's on the roster. I have the pictures. The teachers came forward, and then all of a sudden on the next school board meeting, her dismissal was immediately after this happened. That's another one called passing the trash that you never know about. And I consistently hear constantly about Carver High School. And so when we talk about, go back to that, like what's appropriate. This was at a high school in Chesterfield, right down the road from here. And so I'm going to let you decide if you think that this is appropriate restraint of a child. Okay, to get as few people like children, I don't want to get children. Like, I don't want her face. Like I tried to, when I posted this online, is that I'm pretty sure that cutting off the airway is really not like, and this, like, that's not, it's really hard to tell, but this child was having a I can't breathe moment. And that would be Clover Hill High School, just to let y'all know, a couple months ago. So is that appropriate restraint of children? Because I've seen videos of teachers dragging children out of the classroom by their foot, not feet, foot, and slamming them down in chairs. Is that appropriate? Is that what's considered appropriate? But if you guys weren't aware, let's cover a couple of these old ones. I say old. Actually, let's cover the most recent ones that we were talking about. Okay, so here we go. So we talked about five days ago. This is the one that I most recently flipped out about. Chesterfield County. A teacher with Chesterfield County Public Schools has been charged in connection to the assault of an elementary school student in March. According to Chesterfield County Police, 60-year-old Alice McCollum, a teacher, assaulted a juvenile female at J.G. Henning Elementary School on March 19th. Days later, on March 26th, police received a report the assault had occurred. Again, if you hear about this, do not wait for CPS to do their job. And this is really all that they've done. But let me just tell you this, is that if the teacher has been charged or been put on probation, or the county has done their due diligence to make sure that they protect the teacher over the child, just to cover that. It's like, this isn't just an allegation. The news is not going to just say allegations left and right. This was the one that the school board meeting at Spring Run Elementary School, that would be a month ago. Chesterfield County Elementary School teacher was charged with assault of another student. This would be at Spring Run Elementary. 28-year-old Megan Dombrowski was served with a warrant in connection to a reported January 25th assault of a Spring Run unidentified male. And again, charged with assault. That means it's not, and so people are like, oh, you can't just put out. No, they were charged. Sorry, they were charged. And if the news is putting it out there, and then let's see. And then the one in the middle, this would be after the last school board meeting. The one in the middle was Meadowbrook High School. Chesterfield County Police Department received a report that 57-year-old Trevonna Kinnear assaulted a juvenile male student at Meadowbrook High School Thursday, March 21st. Investigation in consultation with Chesterfield Commonwealth's attorney. Now, this could be because we have a new Commonwealth's attorney. Who knows? Highly doubtful. It could be why Jeff Katz is resigning. And Merv. Who knows? But so that would be Meadowbrook High School. These are just the recent ones, guys. Let's see. Manchester High School. Which, by the way, if y'all have not seen the assignment of their 10th grade English assignment that came out of Manchester High School about how their feelings on the Trans Day of Visibility. That was a good one. Check out my page. Chesterfield County has been charged in connection to the assault of a student at Manchester High School. Freddie L. Williams of the Chester area of the county had struck a juvenile male student on January 18th. After further investigation, police obtained a warrant for assault on Williams. And then there's one more, Thomasdale. Again, guys, Thomasdale High School student charged with assaulting student. This would have been December. So all of these would have been within from December to the present day. A teacher at Thomasdale High School has been charged with assaulting a student last month. Mark Bowles, 65, kicked a juvenile male in the lower leg and intentionally stepped on his foot in the classroom. Of course, they downplay it. If it wasn't an accidental kick, it wasn't an accidental. If they arrested him, charged with, so he was charged, and not even. And this is, I know people. If you're sitting there going, "Oh, well, this is just assault," and you're not like, "Oh, well, this isn't rape." I mean. God help you, like seriously. But those are just within the 5 months, last 3 of them in the last 4 weeks in Chesterfield County. And again, this isn't Fairfax. This isn't Loudoun County. Okay. This is Chesterfield County, the 4th biggest division in the state that nobody talks about. It's really interesting how it happens, right? Here, these are some old ones.
About a student who reported inappropriate text messages back in July. They say Sandra Thomas, a former teacher who was hosting a camp at the school, knew about the incident, which happened in June, but never told police. Thomas is the 2nd school employee to be charged in this investigation.
So this is my message to Charlottesville and Albemarle. They have that, the one where they decided within themselves that they weren't going to report it to CPS or have an investigation because the school decided. It's not up to you. You're mandated reporters. And here in Chesterfield 3 years ago, multiple people got fired at Clover Hill High School because they didn't report it.
A juvenile came and made a report to 2 different teachers or employees. Made the report of a suspected abuse or neglect, and those teachers or employees or former employees failed to make the report as mandated by Virginia law.
Earlier this month,
So the law hasn't changed. So when are we going to start firing people again? When we do something about it, when we stand up and we do something, unfortunately, is how it's going to go down. And this would be, hold on.
Offender in Virginia. In addition, Chesterfield.
Then they face additional prohibitions in where they can live, where they can work, even where they can go.
VSP served warrants for Oughton, including failure to register as a sex offender in Virginia. In addition, Chesterfield police obtained 6 warrants for a sex offender on school property.
Then they face a
Hold on, sorry.
Year-old student, according to police, meaning she was not in his classroom when the assault happened, but had been previously.
Oh, doesn't matter. You're employed by the county. Use Denton.
Investigators say the incident occurred in December 2021 and was first reported to the school system in February of this year.
Their interactions occurred off campus, and in fact, it was during a time when school was not even in session.
Doesn't matter. Go back to the memo we just talked about. So the time frame that we're talking about, again, CPS doesn't matter. We just covered that memo. The fact that they were on or off premises doesn't matter. Were you employed with the county at the time? Yes. Move on. They even said time frame doesn't matter. So all these excuses that you hear on the news, especially when they report ex-Chesterfield teacher, yeah, when the news finally gets a hold of it, they're an ex-Chesterfield teacher. It doesn't mean, oh, we're going to just report on somebody that worked here 10 years ago that just now assaulted teachers. That's where the mainstream media is just as culpable in all this too.
Well, I'll say this is an isolated incident. This is
What did he say? Sorry, everyone. I love this part. Not that I love it, but
isolated incident. This isn't, there's no indication this is a isolated. Well, I'll say this is an isolated incident. This isn't, there's no indication this is a broad reaching type of situation.
A now former teacher at Thomas Dell High School.
Really?
Facing charges for what police.
is he serious? Did he really just say that? Yes, he did. There's no indication that this is a that this is a problem. There's no indication of that. Get out. And then this one I had found.
These Chesterfield moms are nervous wrecks after an alleged incident at Salem Church Elementary School on May 9th.
I was giving my son a bath, and he says, "Hey, Mom, I went to the office twice today." And I'm like, "What? What do you mean?"
She had called me, and while I'm on the phone with her, my son is saying the same exact story.
That story involves 4 kindergarten boys and their teacher allegedly pulling them into a closet and shutting the door behind her.
To be screamed at because they didn't act right during stations.
Chesterfield police confirmed they are investigating a report that a known adult female may have assaulted several students at the school.
Even thinking about it now, I cried. I had a panic attack dropping him off in this parking lot this morning.
The moms claim the school did not tell them about the incident. Instead, they learned about it from their kids. Yet, when they went to the school this Thursday to ask about it, the principal told them she knew why they were there.
We deserve more answers than what we have been given.
Moments after our interview with the moms, the principal at Salem Church sent an email to them stating their son's teacher was not returning to the school and a substitute teacher would be there for the remainder of the school year.
We asked a spokesperson for Chesterfield County Schools about the alleged incident, and he referred us back to that email that was sent out to parents by the principal here. Working for you tonight in Chesterfield County, I'm Melissa Hippolyte for CBS 6.
Let's see. That was 4 years ago at Salem Church. I'm not, just for the sake of time, because I do have, God, shut up. Okay, so for the sake of time, I'm going to pick. Hard to pick. Oh, here's one. 10 years ago.
This is CBS 6 reporter Shelby Brown reporting from Matoaka High School in Chesterfield. Police tell us the recent arrest of a Matoaka High School science teacher stems from an inappropriate relationship Nicholas Els allegedly had with a student here between the ages of 13 and 15 years old. We asked police how they got wind of this, and they say someone who knew the suspect saw what he thought were inappropriate communications between Els and the teen. He is now behind bars and will make a court appearance later on Friday. CBS 6 will continue to follow this story and bring you the very latest.
That was August 13th, 2020 or 2013, 10 years ago, Nicholas Els. I'm just going to go through some. So where is Nicholas Els? There he is. This would be Nicholas Els. And then there's the substitute at Cosby. I don't remember if you're hearing this. Sex with underage children in the classroom. That would be December 6, 2017. No, that's John Dewey, but he's still a disgusting human. And I remember this mother who came forward with the most disgusting. Now, this is what I would call a complete and utter miscarriage of. So she had found texts, which I have read all of them, and they are so disgusting that even I am remiss to show them on here. But let's see if I can find them. So, okay. So she made a post on Chesterfield or Chester Issues. And man, were there some issues. So she had made a post that she had received a disturbing call from parents in late December 22 from Matoaka High School. Long story short, the teacher had groomed her child since 9th grade, all the way up until his senior year in high school. They had a sexual relationship, and Chesterfield County told them the police department told them since they couldn't pin down a certain time frame, they couldn't investigate it. And then here, like, these are some of the texts that she showed. Like, okay, I agree. I have my bath running. It's loud enough to hide the vibrator noise. I'm going to start talking with a child. I'm coming. Not kidding, you guys. This is the teacher with a child. Any hot selfies? I really miss your lips. Like, this is a child that Chesterfield County deemed that since they couldn't pin down the exact time that, and this is I'm like, and then in Chester Issues, when you start reading like hundreds of comments, like, there's a science teacher at Dale and a gym teacher at Elizabeth Davis who've done similar things. Gym teacher's name was, can't remember, but Mr. Stafford. It's like, grooming body. Lots of students told on him for watching porn in class and commenting on young girls' bodies. Like, when you start reading these comments, Mr. Nixon, we all talked about, I mean, if you don't know, Mr. Nixon was arrested once and arrested, and they did, and then went back, and then there are still people to this day that say Mr. Nixon didn't do anything wrong, but sorry. Parents seriously don't know what's going on here. I'm not going to post that because it's got a name. My ninth grader is at Monacan and came home mid-year telling me his PE teacher was gone for being caught. Any of you at Monacan? That his PE teacher was gone for being caught with a student in the middle of the act in the parking lot. Of course, the parents weren't informed of anything other than they would have a long-term sub for the remainder of the year. My daughter had that female PE teacher at Monacan. I was waiting for the school to mention something, but never heard an incident without a word. She was on this. These are people just commenting on this stuff. Like, and I'm sitting here going, 2 teachers were fired for inappropriate conduct with students while I was at Matoaka. It's sick. At that point, these are teachers. This ain't the first time at Matoaka. When I was there were 2 teachers that I knew of to be involved multiple times. And of course, they give you like, I was trying to like protect people. You know, I'm not trying to like dox anybody. But when you're reading comments like that from people in Chester issues, oh yeah, my son came home. There's a Monacan teacher that they let go. And I'm like, what is wrong with you people? And then they're commenting, oh, well, they have one right now that they're going to deal with. And I said, lady, I'm sorry, but they're not. And they get mad at me. And then they don't ever come to, Lord have mercy. But I wanted to talk to you. I'm not going to get into that one today. There's one that's really heavy, and I'm not going to get into it because it involves a child who's dead now. With Powhatan. My child happened to be at Swift Creek when this happened, but it involves a child who is no longer on this earth, and I just can't deal with that right now, honestly. And then here's one I found from October 20th. You have to like look for this stuff, and no, it's not like I look because I'm like, oh, I gotta go look for it. It's like, no, it matters. October 20th, 2010. Curtis A., former Winter Park elementary school teacher, has been found guilty of unlawfully filming a minor and is now listed on the Virginia State sex offender. Steve J. Curtis, who now lives, blah, 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 taught 5th grade at Winter Park. He was put on administrative leave after he was arrested and no longer works. Rest in peace, Tim Bullis. But Curtis pled guilty and was sentenced to Chesterfield court last month to 6 years in prison. I bet he served like nothing. That's what happens with these people. Because if you look at the last one I did, state sanctioned pedophilia, is that you will see that these teachers, if they get any time at all, it's like a slap on the wrist. And it's like, am I the only, like, what is wrong with people? I don't get it. Like, if they were to say, we're going to put a mask back on your child, you would have parents up in arms like, oh, hell no, they've thrown lying out the door. If they were to say that, well, they don't care about the transgender bathrooms or the children ODing in the bathrooms or them having sex in the bathrooms or anything, they don't care about anything else. But my bet would be if these are teachers. Okay, here's another, it's not, okay, Chesterfield County.
There's one simple vision hack anyone can use to improve vision, so you can say goodbye to your optometrist for good.
Well, with less than a month, elementary trusted with their children's medication is now sitting in a jail cell facing multiple serious charges. So here's a mugshot of Caitlin Poitras. She's a now former Chesterfield County Schools clinic aide. And so
you've got teachers stealing medication. I know I veered off my original purpose, but is that this is stuff that you have to pay attention to. And if you do not stay on them, because it's happening everywhere. Why are we outraged about every single thing but this? Why are we okay with educators getting away with assaulting and school boards covering up the rape and abuse of our children? Why is that okay? And here's why it's okay. And I'm going to get real with you guys. Is because the thought of having to confront the system for your children or for any children, because it would bring down the institution. Same thing happened with the Catholics, is that the Catholics would say, oh, well, because the Catholic diocese, they would get like defensive because it's like you're attacking their religion. And that's exactly what's happening here, is you've got the right protecting and the left protecting because they're protecting the institution. Not so much the teachers. They don't really care about, they're protecting the institution because they have built this government schooling with every fiber of their being together to have a transformational change in the government of the United. I mean, go on from there. Is that is the reason, and that's their reason. That's not our reason. Because here's just to give you guys a little bit of perspective on this issue. these are the people that are reporting on you. Keep that in mind. The people that are assaulting and beating your children, they are the people. So this would be they break it down for you. Like the people that say, like, this would be from the DFS report for Chesterfield County. So you can pull this from, CPS. Is it so Chesterfield County? That it tells you how many. So 2,300 reports to CPS, and then it breaks it down for you. School public. Let me get a better picture. Sorry, but it breaks it down for you. And once you combine like school staff, teacher, social worker, counselor, is that the majority of this is all these. You've got about out of 2,300 reports, and these are just reports, mandated reporters on you, the parent, and just compared to 2,300 total. You're estimating between the couple years 800 to 1,100 reports on parents, where about 2% are founded, are coming from the schools on the parents. That's where the major disconnect is here, is that they're the mandated reporters and they will call on us like this. Oh, your mommy isn't supportive of, oh, she took your tablet today. What a mean mommy. She's not, okay, well, let's call CPS. That's what's happening. Here's another one. So this will show Chesterfield. Let's zoom in. Right down here. So this one is 2,400. So here you got public school. Okay, school public. Then you've got school staff. They've got that broken down. Let's see. And then you've got social workers in schools, guys. They've got mental health professional, counselor, therapist. Okay. It's that wonky, like, well, which one is it? But what it's not is things like government agency, guardian ad litem. It's not those people. It's the schools are reporting on the parents, school staff, teacher, school public, add them together. So they're reporting on us. Okay, they're saying that, and this is really important to know because they're coming after homeschool parents. They're stating that, like, during COVID, they're like, oh, well, because the numbers went down because the children weren't in school. You have to know this stuff, because while they're accusing us and they're coming for our children, remember, they know what's best. This is very important to know if you're going to have any chance in the free world of fighting this as this madness continues. Is no, I'm sorry. You don't get to be the mandated reporters on us while you're raping, beating, and assaulting our children, covering it up, and then trying to gaslight us and say that we're doing it while you're reporting 800 to 1,000 parents in a division, and about 2 of those are founded. And then those families parents have the automatic assumption of guilt. You call CPS on a parent, there's no investigation before they come after you. There's no investigation into the alleged offense before they come tear your family apart. No, sir. No, ma'am. It is an automatic assumption of guilt when these people call it on you. But if you dare find out before they do anything, they're going to dig that teacher the truth. They're going to talk to everybody and their mother. They're going to try to find 800 ways out of it before the teacher. These people stand in loco parentis. That is a custodian and a guardian position. They are not just regular humans off the street. They are set to a different standard because you entrust them. But then again, we didn't give that to you. You took it. This is the plague of the nation right now. And I'm just going to pull up real quick before I go, and then I'm promised I'm going. So this is going to be a slide. I'm not going to, so this is, I've done this before, is that it's important to know that part of ESSA, came with an amendment that both of these really wonderful senators that we have, it was unanimous approval that state, local education agencies must have laws, regulations, et cetera, to protect our children. Yet here we are. So this would be, we talked about Carol Shakeshaft. This would be what she wrote back in 2004. If you want to look it up, it's called An Educator's Sexual Misconduct Synthesis of Existing Literature. There she is. Look, VCU. And it required that under the No Child Left Behind Act of 2001 requires a study of sexual abuse in schools. And there she is again. Look, TEDx Youth. So she's done a TED Youth in Virginia, TEDx, a call to action stopping sexual abuse by school employees. Look, they were in 2020, they awarded her a $1.6 million grant to study it. Not in Virginia. So this would be Ed Week. And this would be the articles that I reamed off in that beginning video. This would be Ed Week 2004. Sexual abuse by educators is scrutinized. This is Ed Week, guys, too. Like liberal educators, we want to destroy. They actually acknowledged it. 2006. Has media ignored sex abuse in schools? Yeah. And this is a quote from Dr. Cheryl Shakeshaft in this article. Think the Catholic Church has a problem, she said. The physical sexual abuse of students in schools is likely more than 100 times the abuse by priests. So in order to better protect children, did media outlets start hounding the worst menace of the school systems with headlines about nationwide teacher molestation cover-up and by asking, are ed schools producing pedophiles? No. They went after the Catholic diocese. Here's another one. USA Today, 2016. Teachers who sexually abuse students still find classroom jobs. Another Ed Week, 2000, sex abuse, 2007. Sex abuse, a shadow over U.S. schools. And this one is really long. It's really in the Washington Post. So sexual misconduct plagues U.S. schools. That would be October 21st, 2007. This would be Washington Post again, 2015. More teachers are having sex with their students. Here's how the schools can stop them. Of course, they talk about, cell phones, but still. Here's the Government Accountability Office report. This is federal reportment to the Chairman Committee on Education, Labor, House of Representatives. If you know somebody in the Education, Labor, House of Representatives, I do, or anybody running for it, this is extremely important. December 2010. K-12 education, selected cases of public and private schools that hired and retained individuals with histories of sexual misconduct. Another one, 2014. Again, to the Committee on Education. Oh, look how that changed, though. Committee on Education and Labor, or maybe it didn't. Oh, Education and Workforce. Sorry, it changed. Child welfare. Federal agencies can better support state efforts to prevent and respond to school abuse by school personnel. And then I actually had a conversation with Matt Drange, and in a Business Insider, this would be this past December, he wrote, an epidemic of sexual abuse in schools, shoddy investigations, quiet resignations, and a culture of secrecy have protected predators, not students. And if you're running for office and he wants to talk to politicians or want to be politicians who have solutions for this, if you want a winning platform. And then this would be the Department of Justice report I talked about, a case study of K-12 sexual employee sexual misconduct, lessons learned from Title IX policy implementation. That was 2017, I believe. This was from a sex abuse clinic. And then we talk about this man versus this man, just real quick. One of them did this for the Department of Addressing Adult Sexual Misconduct in the School Setting, a training guide. One of them did this, and one of them did this. In 2021, FedEd suggested it would revise the 2021-2022 civil rights data collection to remove all of the questions from the survey that dealt with sexual misconduct by school staff. Can you guess which one did what? So that youth survey that children get every 2 years, that you're, the one that has all the crazy questions? Well, that data actually has a little bit of, because it's supposed to be anonymous, but it asks anonymously about things like, have you ever been assaulted in schools? Have you ever felt unsafe by your teacher in schools? Because the truth is that 1 in 10 children is reporting these incidents. 1 in 10. And we know that about 5% of children actually report. And what did Biden do? Suggested. I don't think it was actually done. I got to follow up on that. That the civil rights data collection remove anything regarding sexual misconduct by school. Okay. That wasn't Orange Man. That was Delusional Man. And if you want more information on this, it's called Project Sesame. Stop Educators' Sexual Abuse, Misconduct, and Exploitation. It's easy to find them. They have a lot of the documents that I just showed you. Lots of information. And then just some of the ones from across the state that I just this was Russell County, Virginia. A boy sexually abused in a janitor's closet. Is the school responsible? Yes, they were. The parents sued the ever-living shit out of these people. There's our Cosby teacher again. This would be Virginia Beach. 53-year-old Virginia Beach teacher Guy Wolf was arrested after police were notified he was, okay, it's not alleged, okay, having a sexual relationship with a 17-year-old student. Police say Wolf and the student were in a consensual sexual relationship. Here's the thing, even the Virginia Code states that when you're in a custodian and a guardianship relationship, that you can't have sex with children. It can't be consensual. Even the Virginia Code says this. Bond denied for Frederick County middle school teacher charged with indecent liberties with student. Inappropriate conduct. Emily Shea faces felony. I mean, that's Nicholas Ells. We talked about him back at Matoaka High School 10 years ago with a 14-year-old. Craig Nixon is also Chesterfield County. This was recent from Henrico, but she lives in Chesterfield with a young boy. This is her, of 25, Chesterfield County, but she was a Henrico teacher. This was, I believe, over the summer. 4 counts of carnal knowledge and 1 count of indecent liberties with a minor. Virginia Beach employee. This was 2022, David Krause. So he's a teacher in Virginia Beach facing child pornography charges. Okay, go back to remember the memo we talked about. This is what's shocking. Virginia, this guy here, George Brown, I believe is his name, is that I actually found through Indeed where he's working. He has a job. Sex with a student has been sentenced to 6 months in jail. Having sex with your child as a teacher will get you 6 months in jail if you get that. And they will probably write it off to time served. This was recent too. Fairfax County elementary school teacher arrested after luring, this would be October 25th, exposing himself. I'm not going to get in. I did a whole episode on Caitlin Grimley, the one whose father is the interim principal at Fauquier High School, who has to serve, who will get off and not have to register as a sex offender and restorative justice. That's her. Restorative justice program. So the next time you hear that your school's doing restorative justice, think about it's the same program that's getting pedophiles off from raping our children. Here's another one. Former Fauquier school teacher sentenced 210 months. So you can produce child porn as a teacher and get, this would be, the FBI reported this, the Washington. So producing child porn or distributing child porn will get you 210 months. But actually raping our children, you get no jail time and restorative justice. Why? Because producing child porn doesn't put what? The institution into jeopardy. A teacher having sex with a child in the school system puts the institution. They want to protect the institution. So throw the one who's producing, because you'll find all the cases of teachers that are caught with child porn, they've been thrown to the wolves. But the ones actually having sex with our children are getting off with, if that. Here's the same one. This would be Albemarle, former school psychologist, sentenced on sexual abuse charges. That was 5 years ago. Former Virginia preschool teacher to be in prison. He got for 41 years Now, he did molest 4 preschool children. Prosecutors say at least 15 victims were touched inappropriately. So that's not even an appropriate sentence in my book, but still. And then, so you're from Smithfield. Guess what? He lost his license, this guy here, but won't face criminal charges. Chesterfield, teacher arrested for making child pornography. That would be 2017. This guy was in Culpeper. Sexting. People want to talk about sexting. It's okay. No, don't ever text my child as a teacher. Pulaski County, accused of inappropriate relationship, 2014. This guy here, well, this is Spotsylvania, I do believe. He went to jail for a long time. Inappropriate touch. No, this was disgusting. That would be 2021. AG Wright Middle School, if you want to look that one up. But that was just a blow through of a slideshow. So you can imagine what my file on all of this actually looks like across the state of Virginia. So would you say that there's an enormous problem? Yeah, I think you would. Especially when you put it into the context of Loudoun County again. And I've talked to the Smiths before, and they've said it's okay for me to talk about this. Loudoun County, child on child, covered up by the school system, which led to another child. Okay. We're talking about teacher on child, covered up, them allowing to move to a different division. And I can tell you what's going to be enough. What happened? When did West Virginia draw the line, and many other states? When Jeremy Bell was murdered. He'd gone from Pennsylvania to Maryland to West Virginia. They passed the trash all the way down. They let him leave and go to different divisions. And when poor Jeremy Bell was finally murdered in West Virginia by his teacher. So it's really, are we going to be that state? And if we are, God help every single person that I have blown the alarm to. If when a child is murdered by a teacher, you think you've seen me then? Now? No, I will help those parents. God forbid that ever happens. But you guys have to realize this is very real. And it's like for every crazy assignment you see pop up on the internet, 5% of children report. And then you have the nonverbals. Like if you look up the cases, like the special education ones, nonverbal children being pulled from their handicapped wheelchair and having hot sauce poured down their throat. That would be, I think, Fairfax, I believe. So then you have the nonverbals. Then you have the preschoolers. Then you have the daycares of the children who can't speak. And then it gets, so we know about the high schoolers that they're saying it's okay if, 12, 13-year-old consensual sex with your teacher, that's okay. But then you have the little ones. And then we want to talk about a toxic environment. And then you want to criminalize parents because our children don't want to go to school. There are so many factors that I'm so tired that the number one problem in this state, I don't care, Portsmouth, huge problem. Virginia Beach, huge problem. Norfolk, huge problem. Everywhere. It doesn't matter what color your skin. It doesn't matter if you're transgender. It's happened everywhere. White children, black children, purple children, up, down, left, right. It is every child, and it is a male, female, black, white, Hispanic. They are all, bus drivers included. It is all of them. That's why it's called educator, not teacher. Educator sexual, ESM is what it is. Educator sexual misconduct, Carol Shakeshaft. Look it up. Have a go, and then tell me that you don't care anymore, because that's how I feel about it. And unfortunately, it looks like Charlotte, she's a night nurse, had to go to work. But she let me know about a case. She knows a lot of cases in Chesterfield County. One, I'm just going to drop this bomb, is 2 special education teachers at Swift Creek Elementary, right down about 2 minutes from me, that they used deer piss and made the children walk on Legos as punishment. Now, they were let go, but the reason that there were no files charged, and I'm not even kidding you this, is because the parents had approved this as okay discipline for their children. People say, well, can you show evidence? No, I can just tell you what Charlotte and I spoke to the parents of these children about, who think it's okay. And then the other parents in the classroom. And then I can show you the personnel actions where they were let go after this happened. And that the school division has acknowledged that it happened, because they said that the reason that charges were not brought was because the parents, okay, so here's the problem, is that you're mandated reporters. You report on parents for everything. So because you don't want to report the teachers for the deer piss and the Legos, you're going to let the parents fly who okayed deer piss and walking on Legos for their children as discipline. But if it was if they heard that you had deer pissed your children and made them walk on Legos, they would have called it like this. They would have called you, rightly so. But in this case, we're going to let parents slide with telling teachers that deer pissing and walking on Legos is okay, because to hold the parents responsible would mean we would have to out ourselves, and we don't want to we want to make sure we protect the institution. So that's how that goes there. We're going to go after parents for everything, unless going after the parents means we're also going to be brought into the mix of it. In that case, we're going to have to let those parents who think that deer piss and walking on Legos is an appropriate discipline for your special education child. You can't have it both ways. You can't go after parents unless it's going to get you in trouble, because guys, remember, this is all about protecting the institution. Because if all of this was outed across the nation at the same time, the institution would crumble on itself. And I encourage you to look up Amos Guiara, Guiora. He's written a lot about the bystander effect in his most recent book, Armies of Enablers. And as a survivor of child sex abuse, I can tell you that I got over the actual abuse by my uncle long ago. What I've never gotten over was the institution, which is my family, not protecting me, closing ranks to protect the institution. That is the trauma I live with every day. And that is the trauma that these children will live with every day. They will remember, they will never forget, and they will get over the trauma. And Amos Guerra talks with the, I don't think it was Penn State, but it was, the U.S. gymnastics. It was, different college level that allow these abuses to keep, happening at the college level, because he wouldn't even go to the secondary and primary level. But still, it is at the bystander, and then the enabler, the parent that sits by and doesn't say anything, the teacher that sits by and doesn't let it happen, doesn't say anything, the administrator that sits by and doesn't say anything. That is where the even worse than the actual abuser, because it takes an entire squad of enablers to cover this up for a rapist or an abuser, whatever they are. It takes an entire squad of enablers to then let them quietly leave to protect the institution. And that's what we're living with. So next time you hear about this and you want to, you're in like a chat, you're like, oh, you have no idea. I mean, I heard about this at Monacan High School, is that this teacher got busted with having sex with this in the school parking lot. And then the next day they were just gone. And can you believe that memo we got? God, what BS, that memo. The next time you see that conversation, or you are partaking in that conversation, I want you to think about or tell somebody how absolutely disgustingly flippant that is, that you think it's okay, that your school division, your school, your high school that you continue to send your child into, your kids know about these things happening with their educators, their teachers, and that they're not going to figure out one day something's very wrong here, that my parents thought this was cute. My parents are just chatting about it and they're not doing anything about it. Think about 73 children. If you had stood up and said something the first time, the 72 children after that one that could have been saved, because on average 3 divisions and 73 children once they pass these teachers around. And then what if that teacher that you heard about was so cute? What if that you find out 5 years later that there's a child dead because you didn't do anything? If you guys don't think that we are at the worst time ever in history, I hate to paint your Cheerios, but we are. And I'm going to talk about the biggest issue that nobody's talking about. No Republican, including John McGuire, Favola, Serval, all these people who have talked about this issue, not McGuire, but the Democrat, they wouldn't carry this legislation. They have no desire to upset the status quo and actually do something to protect our children, because I had, like I said 800 times, 14-page legislation written to close all these loopholes. So congratulations. Welcome to the swamp. Have a good night. Gotta put my kids to bed. Bye-bye.